weather seems nice today. I was trying to find some places that had some good fall colors. Not quite there yet in terms of most places anyways. And what did I read today? How about this one? It was kind of interesting. You know, there's a lot of places where they say you're not allowed to fly your drone here and there when it doesn't actually match what the laws are here in Canada. Well, how about this one? It was kind of interesting. It was from the city of Calgary where they posted this signage telling people where they can and can't fly their drones, what the laws are and so forth, but again, it's not really accurate. So you can see this big sign they posted saying, using your drone, and I suppose if you don't follow the rules, it says fines for improper use of drones start at $250 and can be as high as $3,000. So that'll scare people, correct? First, it says here in terms of the weight of your drone, it says drones less than 250 grams, permitted over cut or mowed grass only, manicured for play or sport activities. Is that kind of interesting to read? Okay, their, I guess, interpretation of the law is over cut or mowed grass only. It says no drones permitted in cemeteries, near children-focused equipment like playgrounds and spray parks, or in natural areas. No flights permitted over public gatherings or at advertised events. This is the example of everyone just gives very misleading information. I mean, technically you can dictate in terms of the city where they could, let's just say, land and take off and so forth, but if the person is in an area, let's just say, where they're designated to fly, to land and take off, they fly over a certain area, as long as there isn't a huge federal ban per se of the flight in general, it should be okay. So it makes you wonder why people keep doing this, but it goes on anyways. It says for drones 250 grams plus, it says a permit is required because their size increases the risk to aircraft and people nearby. You can request a Calgary Parks green space application at calgary.ca or by contacting 311. It can take up to 8 weeks for applications to be approved. Yeah, same thing in that regards. It really depends on how you're using it, what the context is. I know here anyways, I'm not sure about Calgary, but there are tons of residential areas near parks and all that. Someone could literally just fly it from the roof of their building, for example, get some pan shots and so forth. You technically don't need a quote permit for that from the city anyways. It's more about the airspace restrictions and the property in general. But yeah, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Cut or mow grass in terms of the rules, or you can be fined. That's a new one I haven't seen yet anyways. That is kind of crazy to think about too, even for the drones, for example, that are 250 grams and up. 8 weeks to get approval just to get your drone up in the air to take basic, I don't know, pans or something like that. You're not bothering anyone. What's next? Are you gonna turn this into like New York, for example, where they had all that introduction of, hey, if you want to fly your drone, you get to pay us hundreds of dollars or whatever for permits and all that. I mean, it depends on what you're using and how, in my opinion. And this is just an example. It's not changing much, I guess, in a lot of places, huh? Unfortunately. What would you think of this? You should be really focused on weaponized drones. That's a little different. And how about this one with this story? More news about war and so forth, but apparently in this one, a kamikaze drone per se, I guess, was captured. This one here says, Ukrainian forces intercept advanced Russian kamikaze drone near Donetsk front line. What would you think of this if you looked at this drone? Any do-it-yourself builders ever build something that looked like this anyways? It says, in a significant development on the eastern Ukrainian front, Ukrainian forces have successfully intercepted an advanced Russian kamikaze drone near the Donetsk region. This capture reveals a new dimension in the ongoing technological warfare between the two nations. And what's the big deal? It says fiber optic control, a game changer in drone warfare. The captured drone, identified as a Vandal FPV model, represents a cutting-edge piece of Russian military technology. Unlike conventional drones that rely on radio frequency signals, the Vandal utilizes a fiber optic control system. This innovative approach offers several key advantages. They say here, stable image quality, exceptional signal retention, resistance to electronic warfare interference. Does this mean, for example, a lot of those signal jammers, for example, that people are selling are pretty much worthless against this? It says the fiber optic control mechanism makes the Vandal impervious to traditional EW measures, allowing it to operate effectively in contested areas where standard drones would be disrupted. The capability has made the Vandal an increasingly valuable asset for Russian forces in the conflict zone. As militaries worldwide recognize the growing importance of unmanned systems in modern warfare, it's worth noting that the US Army is betting big on drones and electronic warfare, highlighting the global trend towards advanced drone technologies. yeah, so I guess it shows you just how fast, for example, this stuff is progressing, especially in a war situation, just like that. It's outdated, huh? Where they have all these counter drone measures and all that, but then everyone else innovates in these ways, I suppose. Non-stop war though, as mentioned, and again, you should be focused on stuff like this in terms of safety and all that, not going after people flying, let's just say toys, in my opinion. And in terms of war, actually, there's been so much news about Iran firing missiles at Israel, apparently. How about this one? This one says, what to know about Iran's missile attack in Israel's operations in Lebanon and Gaza. There was so much videos of this. That must be terrifying, especially here. There's going to be retaliation, I would assume anyways. It says, Iran's ballistic missile attack on Israel caused a few casualties and little damage, but it marked a further escalation of tensions in the Middle East as Israeli forces battled Tehran's militant allies in Lebanon and the Gaza Strip. So many different angles of this. Can you imagine that? I know some of them that were saying these were like hypersonic missiles, for example, but in some cases it felt like the video was sped up. But if that is the actual speed, that's kind of terrifying. I don't know how you could protect yourself against that in terms of even with their missile defense system that you keep hearing about. And if it's not war, I guess some people are afraid of some kind of strike. This one here says, port strikes spark toilet paper panic as shoppers say store shelves left empty. Well, they had that during these times with the lockdowns and stuff. It wasn't due to a strike though. This one says, toilet paper panic buying has been reported in parts of the country as Americans fear the impact of the ongoing post-strike. Roughly 45 members of the International Longshoremen's Association walked out on Tuesday morning after their contract with the ports expired. News that the strike could impact 36 ports appears to have led some consumers to buy rolls upon rolls of toilet paper in panic, with shoppers posting pictures of their local stores with empty shelves. Yeah, you can see it there. It makes you wonder if this will be that serious. I could imagine a port strike too would be devastating in terms of all the shipping and logistics. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens here, huh? All right, see you guys later.